go to our first item, which is approval of the minutes of July 13th, 2021. Do I have a motion, please?
Move to approve those.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No. Okay, move to roll call. Sarah?
Abstain.
Sustain because you are not here. Kevin?
Aye.
Zilly?
Aye.
Thank you. Zilly?
Yes, aye.
Alex?
Aye.
Janet?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Rosie?
Abstain.
Sustained. And Lynn is aye. So the minutes pass. Thank you. All right, so we'll move to our downtown initiatives update. We did miss a month there in August, so I'm sure Kevin is just brimming with information to share with us. So I'll turn it over to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, everybody. It's good to see everybody. Pull up a list of a few things that we're working on. So first things, I've been talking with the TCP and Sarah Guido regarding the raised bed in front of Country Farm. We talked about previously with some of the design efforts from the engineering firm that we're working with to do something in front of that area. We're thinking more of a long-term sort of comprehensive approach, whether it's plantings or tree or a patio, bench, things that we're working on. But in the interim, we've got so many beautiful things happening downtown. Sarah approached us and said, would you have any issues if we look to sprucing that particular bed up? Some mulch in there, maybe trimming up some of the trees, weeding, because there's a lot of overgrowth right now. To which we said that'd be great. For us, it's always been a capacity issue. It's something that's been on our wish list, to-do list, although it probably would take more than our guys a few hours to do it. We are short-staffed from that department and just trying to get all the fields for the TAA completed. So it was a welcome offer, and thank you, Sarah. And so,
Kevin, do you mind if we jump? That was going to be a topic a little bit later about what Sarah was doing, but as long as you raised it, do you mind if we just cut over to Sarah so that she can give us an update on actually what they're doing with the weeding? Is that okay?
No, not at all. Sorry, I missed that on the.
No problem, Sarah.
I think Kevin summarized it pretty well. So, because it's going to take more time to come up with and implement, a bigger vision for patio and that kind of thing. Right now, it just really could use some cleaning up. So, we're looking for a way, and it looks like we'll probably do it with volunteers, go in there and get our hands dirty, pull out some weeds and spread some mulch. So hopefully we can get our group together, a group of people together to do that in the next week or so.
Sarah, we talked a little bit about some of the bushes there and maybe cutting them back or pulling some out because it's some really scraggly things in there, and the kind of the hedge bushes are a little uneven and overgrown, etc. I
think we can hand trim those hedges, right? But we're not going to pull anything out right now. It's kind of just a Band-Aid because it's really unsightly. So we'll clean it up and make it better to look at, but probably not going to pull anything out.
Okay. And Kevin and Sarah, as far as your next steps for that larger vision for the Main Street sidewalk area, I mean, there was a lot of talk in front of T-Hop. There were some great ideas. Where do we go with that from here? So
we have a volunteer in town, an individual who has looked at the area. He's a mason, and he's going to help us design, a vision for the area that stretches from the corner of Mr. Flomp's property that next to Topsfield House of Pizza through to the bed in front of the former Santander Bank. And it was an idea was brought to us to explore the idea of adding patio seating similar to what you see in front of the bake shop right now. There's definitely room on the sidewalk in front of Topsfield House of Pizza to do that. We believe there's a way to make it handicap accessible. The grade along, if you're facing Topsfield House of Pizza along the right-hand side, looks like a gentle enough slope that you could kind of go up and into the bed. So, the person who is going to help us come up with that vision is really busy right now, kind of busy season. So we're waiting for him to have some capacity.
Any idea what the time frame looks like when he'd be freed up, Sarah?
I think like our idea is, personally, like let him work for his livelihood in this period. And then, we would look at him designing something over the winter, when he's not as busy.
Is he getting paid for that, Sarah, or is this just volunteer for the town?
We have not discussed payment, so my impression was it would be volunteer, the design phase.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Kevin, back to you.
No problem at all. So that's a small item, but it's an important one. All the little details added up in aggregate. So, I walked by it this afternoon and called Sarah, and it's 5:30 or something like that. And I said, yeah, we got to do something. We got to make this happen one way or another. So, it's exciting to be able to do something, and then the long-term play will be great. So, I would then just pivot over to our solar bench. We talked about that before. It was built, it was shipped, and it was stuck in customs in New York for like a long time. And so the lawyers from our vendor were working to try to get that freed up from customs. And I heard today, by way of update, that it's heading up from New York to arrive here this week. And so we identified a tentative location where we'd like to put it, right at the rail trail where it meets Main Street. If you're coming down Main Street from Town Hall, there's already a bench on the right-hand side. We put it on the left-hand side, over by where the historical rail elements are. Unless anyone here thinks we should put it differently, because it was really just, we found out today, and Don and I went out there and we kind of looked at where we could potentially put it. Felt that would be a good location. I've always felt like at Main Street and the rail trail is so highly used by pedestrians that might be a really great place to sort of people from out of town and people from town can hopefully be able to see it in that location. So that's sort of the tentative plan. Feedback from this group, if anyone has a preference in considering somewhere else, but right now that's sort of what we're targeting.
Does it get screwed into the ground or something, Kevin? Is like wherever you put it, is it a certain amount of work to get it placed there?
It's heavy, as I understand it, and his suggestion was find the location so we don't have to move it again because it's very heavy. So it doesn't get screwed in the ground per se. It sits on the ground, but we need to because it's so heavy, we have to put some sort of footing likely in the ground to support the weight so it doesn't just start sinking into the ground. So that's something we're working on right now. But like I said, it doesn't have to be tonight, but if anyone on this call or anyone else for that matter, if you're not on this call, if you have a suggestion on a place you'd like us to consider otherwise, please let me know. If I don't hear anything for the time being, we'll put it out at the rail trail unless we determine once we get it out there, we need to move it again. Hopefully we don't. But that's sort of the plan.
Hey, Kevin. I think it's great, but and we live in a very honest area. I leave things outside like merchandise all night. No one has ever taken anything. But I'm just wondering if that's such a marketable piece that could it be stolen? If someone knows it's a solar bench.
I mean, anything.
If someone had a trailer, two guys lift it up and put it in their truck and take it away.
I'll have to see it. I mean, I don't know exactly what the weight is.
I'm just concerned that someone from that walks the rail trail or rides their bikes, gets a friend and says, hey, that's cool. We'll bring it up to our lake house. So I don't know. I know there'd be a footing, but
they're going to have to listen to my voice say, welcome to Topsfield. They do. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a small price.
We didn't
all right,
really-
perfect. Yeah, that'll be a surprise.
No. I joking aside. No, we're sort of, those details we'll work through.
Okay.
I think that security and safety of that's important. And I think it would be pretty embarrassing if we put it out there and a day later it's gone, right?
Well, you know what? I hate to say that, but I bet that could be a possibility.
It could be, certainly could. We'll look at
right.
that.
Okay.
See if there's anything we can do. I don't know. The one I saw in Cambridge was not screwed on, but it was kind of tucked away on a private property a little bit. So we'll explore that.
Okay.
That.
I do have a comment, Lynn.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
I just see two benches across the street from each other. I rarely see anybody sitting at the bench by the cargoes. I really do. That I'm thinking that just to put the solar bench where that bench is and find a new home for that existing bench. Because there's two benches in front of the library that are very deteriorated. And that one that's right there by the corner of Cargill's and, Main Street could replace one of them. I just can't see two benches facing each other that are going to get a lot of use out of that. And I'm not sure also do you need a certain position of the bench for lighting? I mean, does it have to face south, east, west, or north, or does that matter?
So the last question, we'll see. There hasn't been any direction specifically of a location. The location we're talking about is actually the side you're talking about. Well, first off, when I was out there today, that bench that you referenced by Cargile's jammed up in a corner facing a white fence up against the planter. It weighs a ton, but I moved it across the other side of the rail trail because it's underneath the tree now next to the bike rack, and it's facing a much nicer vista of Cargile's, the open grass, and the bank. So I moved that already. The plan would be from symmetry is to put the other one facing on the other side where the historical place, like I said, which does have an opening for the light to come down, but also would be on the opposite side of the rail trail. So it wouldn't be necessarily facing each other. They'd be sort of like this staggered on either side. And I part of the reason I think no one sits in the one in Cargile's because it's just, you have to like walk around the back of it past the planter to sit in it. How it was set up before. I think the way it's set up now, you'll get more people sitting on it. Anyway, we'll see. Like I said, it's heavy. We want to do it once, but if we determine that there's a better place to do it, we could certainly look to put it in a different place. But
do you have a time frame when you're going to put it out so that folks here could, have a little bit of time to just look around and see what might be options or how that might look across from each other versus replacing the one, as Janet said? Do we have some time?
We do not have a timeline as of right now, other than it just freed up from New York. So I'll get out there with the team and try to find some time to discuss the appropriate location for it. We could.
I just think things start to get looking very cluttered. There's a lot going on down there at that corner. I mean, you've got the old rail thing. You've got the whole big sign, the historical thing. You got a bike rack. You got a picnic table. You have the pump. You get the stop sign, Main Street, and then you're going to have a bench. And it looks so cluttered that I think on the opposite side, Cargill make that where the bench is and move that existing bench to someplace else to replace decrepit benches in front of the library. That would be a better use, but that's my opinion.
I think that
we should look at it.
To entice people. Here's my thing too. We have to look at the big picture. I think if this bench works out, we probably can work in getting another bench somewhere down the road, maybe put it in the center of town. But don't we want to encourage people from the rail trail that have ridden all that rail trail that on a hot summer day or whatever, that they want to get off their bike and they see a solar bench and they sit there and then they tell their friends and they charge up their phone or something? Isn't that the idea? This first bench is to kind of keep getting people into the town from Peabody and from Danvers.
It's a buzz.
We could do
yeah.
Like in front of the library for our residents.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing to have a bench there. I'm just saying, why do we have two? Like right across from each other, or even they're juxtaposed. I mean, I just think that there's a lot going on right there.
Or maybe use the solar bench, move the other one someplace else.
Right.
You know?
That's what I'm saying. Have the one solar bench and move the other one to another locate. The one that's right there by Cargill already.
Yeah, and if something's decrepit, I think we should just get it out of there and trash it or whatever. Why would we keep something, especially if we have another bench that can be used? Let's get on that and try to do something with it. Because what if someone fell through it? I mean, I don't know what the condition's like, but
I think, Janet, you were saying the one at the library is decrepit. So take the one beside Cargill, and move that to the library.
That's easy. I think we should do that. I think we should do that.
The solar one, put the solar one where the Cargill one is, and move the Cargill one to the library to replace a bad one.
So I just have a question. The benches that are in front of the library, were they not donated or dedicated to somebody? So rather than just trashing it, we should,
right. You can
be a little bit more
transfer. You transfer the plaques. The plaques are easily transferred to a new bench. But I mean, I'm not saying
there
let's
would be
make
a cost for an
right
additional
now.
bench then, right?
But just walk by and take a look at them. You'll see. And instead of having two benches right across from each other on the rail trail, have the one nice new solar bench, and then move the bench that's still in good shape
I think
to
great
replace
idea.
something that's not great. So, but anyway, I agree with Kevin. I mean, they have to go and eyeball everything. So, let's see what they come up with.
Will you be letting this group know, Kevin, before it actually physically goes in, what you're thinking for a final kind of input from the group? Either the placement of, where you're saying, so that there's some ribbon or something in the ground so we can see what you are thinking. Are you looking for more input, or have you made up your mind?
Be honest, I wasn't necessarily, but I was going to just take feedback and then just kind of let my team hear it as we decide. But if we want to take I don't look at my schedule.
Could we vote right now? Why don't we just vote right now? Who wants the rail? I don't know. Could we vote on it right now? And see who thinks it should go by the rail trail and who thinks the other benches should be moved, and let's be done with it. I mean,
we could certainly get a feel of the committee right now. We could go around and find out how people are thinking. Zilly, any thought on your part?
Sorry. I mean, I kind of feel like whatever is fine, but I think I don't mind the idea of relocating old ones. I'm good with whatever, honestly. You won't know until you do it.
Okay, Alex, your sense?
Yeah, I'm with Billy here. Either way sounds good to me. But
okay, Rosie.
Said 4. No, you're good. Go ahead.
As long as it's on some part of the rail trail for anybody coming through to be able to use it, that's the goal. So where I don't think it's too clunky where it was proposed to be. So I'm fine with
You're
whatever.
okay with keeping both benches? I guess the idea is, do we want two benches or one?
You could have a party of 4 come through. You could have a party of 6 come through. You often see packs of people come through. Having two benches together is it's fine. They could all sit.
Fine.
I don't think it's too much.
Okay, Sarah.
So, I agree with Rosalie. I live like right around the corner, and so I walk that way quite a bit, and I actually do see people sitting on that bench quite a bit, and it always stands out to me because the bench isn't the current way that it was situated was kind of an awkward position. So I'm curious where Kevin moved it, but basically how I feel is, when the new bench comes, I think that people, the team should look at it and place it where they see fit. I think they'll make a good decision. So.
Okay. Good input, Kevin. Because I think we heard from Tom, right? Tom?
Yes.
You're saying, and Janet, we've got your input. You only think one should go there.
I do think that we should take a look at it. I think if you're really going to look at it on that side where all that stuff is, it's going to be very, very cluttered. I would think that we could just replace it on the other side.
We'll take a look at
existing bench.
It makes better sense to replace it. We'll replace it if we think it would work.
Mm-hmm.
Either side of Main Street. facing opposite sides on opposite sides, we'll go ahead with that. But once we get out there and have some more people look at it and we start talking about, just like we did the solar panel poles. I mean, I spent a lot of time out there personally trying to pick the right spaces for them, but it wasn't, we just kind of did it.
They're beautiful, and they're beautiful. They're really great.
But it will be thoughtful. I promise you, just like the solar poles, wherever we put it will be thoughtful. I promise that.
And it could be, Kevin, when you take a look at it, you would switch them. You'd put the wood over by the big, by the St. Rose side. If there's an awful lot of black already with the chain and the pole, etc., it may look better to have it on opposite sides too.
Full disclosure, I was going to replace the one that was there. And then when I got out there today, I said, actually, it might look kind of nice if you tried it like that, and you have more sitting opportunities. I mean, Sarah Merpin, she does see people there. And actually, when we moved that one that was kind of awkwardly placed and spread it back out, some guy walking his dog went by and said, "Oh, I sit in that bench all the time. What are you doing?"
Why'd you move it?
Yeah, he's basically like, in that bench all the time. Where's it going? I'm like, "Oh, we're just moving over here and give you some more space when you sit."
Funny.
Great. Okay. Next, Kevin.
Sure. Signage. So just from a capacity standpoint, we haven't had a chance to get back to the signage, but we brought that project to a really great place. Thank you to people on this call, Tom, as part of the members of the group, especially helping us navigate through that process. We're basically there with the design. What we're going to do, though, is we're going to do a couple of mock-ups for short money that will allow us to actually hold up and see what the signs will look like in action before we actually spend significant money on the permanent signage. And I've mentioned this to this group, and I mentioned it to the Historic Commission. I've mentioned it to our working group, the select board. When we have a date when we're going to put them out and hold them up to see what they look like, we'll let you all know, so if people can come down and hopefully ooh and ah.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. But it'll be a chance to kind of see in real life the size, the lettering, the whole thing. But like I said before, these signs are fantastic. I still go around when I drive to other places. I look at their wayfinding signs and their downtown signs, and I've yet to find something that I think is as thoughtful as the design that we've been able to come up with. So hopefully everybody still likes it when we put them up there. And then from there, the next step will be to, once we put them out there, will be to really try to find funding to help us put the signs out and actually have them built and installed. And I do see this as a phased project at the end of the day, because it's going to be a big ticket item, over 120,000 to do the minimum amount of signs I think we need for the downtown and outside the downtown to bring people to the downtown. So, we might start chipping away, because I think there'd be a lot to be said if we start getting a few of them out there and then a few more out there and a few more out there. So that's kind of from a strategy standpoint, unless we find a really great grant that can cover it like we did with the solar lights and just do them as quickly as possible, as much as possible.
Did you have a chance? Oh, go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted, Kevin, do you know if everyone on this call has seen the actual signs on that that we're going to go forward with? Because maybe if they haven't, maybe they would like to see what we did.
Is there anyone who hasn't seen them? Because we've shown them a couple times.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sarah, you have not seen the signs?
I haven't seen I missed the last meeting, so I've seen along the way, but I'm good enough.
No,
I just didn't see the final.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see the final. I would like to see the final.
Didn't you show the final last meeting?
Well, we were still talking about the font on the sign that was directing to downtown and restaurants and shopping.
Oh, I thought that was finalized. No.
We had input on the font, but I didn't see the final font.
So he's doing both on the one directional sign that was sort of out there, which is the boulder sign, for lack of a better term, or to the more of the what I think people see as more traditional. Although the bold ones, when I told Brian, he goes, no, they're both very historical. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Maybe you could email it. I didn't want to take up time on that. I just thought, I wasn't sure if everyone on this call got to see the final product. Maybe you could email it to them. I don't know.
Yeah, Kevin, what do you mean by he's doing both? Have we not made a decision?
Let me just bring it up for you guys. Just give me 1 sec.
Kevin, are we still making a decision? Or have we not made a decision?
So can you guys see my screen?
Yes. Yep. Perfect.
So this sign here and that sign there, that's what there was the final debate, I guess, if nothing else. So we said, we'll just mock up an extra sign, which is the alternative was actually the first one, the one that the group, I think the majority, like the one on the right. The one on the left was the one that we explored. They're very similar. At the end of the day, it's going to be a great product either way. So we just said, put them out there and we'll get the group to see them in live and see if the Topsfield on the left actually shows the way we'll hope it will, or if we should stick with the one on the right. He kind of confused the alternative to the final, to the primary one, but that's an aside. The good news is that's the same. That's the same. These are the same. Yeah. And hopefully that will be the same as well. So it's just this last little piece. So he's just doing an extra mock-up of this one and that one.
It's the left one. The left one is the one that we decided to go with. The one that matches.
The one on the right was the one that the group decided.
Well, the group decided, but I think it looks awful. I think the left one.
Oh, but you know how much work would it? Okay, I know.
No, but the left one goes with everything else.
Well,
Kevin, do we have a firm yet to do this? Because it's been a little bit since the mock-ups were done. Do we have someone actually hired to do those mock-ups? And so is it in the next couple of weeks you think we're going to be able to look at them outside?
So I'm meeting with Brian tomorrow. I've got a call at 11, I think. Sorry, 1 with OmLoop. We're discussing two things. One, he's already been authorized to make those large renditions for us. I was going to find out when that's going to be available and then when he's available so we can get out there on site to look at them. So it's in process. It's going as quick as it can at the moment. Just need to make sure we finalize before we set up the meeting with everybody. We need to make sure we have it in hand to be able to show it to everybody. The other item is I don't want to pivot yet. I can wait for any further comment before I move to the next item.
Well, did you have a chance to meet with the Historic Society?
I have. They love both. They love the whole thing. They said that this is great. They said they didn't want to vote on it because those two are still kind of out there. But the bigger issue for them was not the script. They actually liked the Boulder one, I think. They were fine with either, but I think they liked the Boulder one, which is, again, consistent with what the groups liked as well. But the large sign that we were talking about locating in the green area in front of Town Hall that says Town Center, Topsfield Town Center. They were sort of questioning the location and sort of the purpose of it. They agreed with the concept that they sort of invite you to keep moving through, but they were talking about whether it does what we want it to do, because is that going to drive people to keep moving? Because it doesn't say Town Center ahead, for example, just says Town Center or welcome to the Town Center, or something that would invite you in. All good points from the Historic Commission on stuff we can discuss when we're out on site with Brian as well, if that's something that we want to do. And I was planning on mentioning it to him when we talk tomorrow at 1, just to let him know the feedback from the Historic Society.
I think we should move that town events board, and that's where this new sign should go.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what.
And honestly, the town events, do we need to be reminded that taxes are due August 8th or whatever? I mean, to me, that's not a town event. People know when I don't know, just like when I wanted to put Ladies' Night Out, someone said, oh, that's not approved. And someone felt really bad that they were going to congratulate Gabby D'Agostino. They had to stick their neck out to put congratulations on the sign. I mean, I'm not going on a tangent, but that's just so wrong to feel awkward to put congratulations to one of our own residents who is in the Olympics. I mean, we need to get that. That's another whole subject, I think. But I don't think that board serves the purpose of town events. I think other things are put on there that really aren't town events. And it's kind of like not appropriate, I think. Why should someone feel bad that someone's congratulating someone, a resident, for,
It should be, Tom. You're right. Tom and I, we've talked about this in the subcommittee group that's been working on this.
Okay.
100%. Like, I think once we have reestablished, I've heard everybody loud and clear from a number of different that they want to have sort of that information sign of events. What it would be is a little bit different, where it just says Tomato Festival, the dates, more information.
Yes.
And it would just be a part of the sign. More information, visit www.topsfield.com.
Right.
It gives you enough so you remind you, which is the purpose of that. When you're driving by at 45 miles an hour,
Right.
it's like you're writing notes of what the details are, but it drives you to the website so you can get those details. That will be relocated, and then that monument sign, entrance sign, would be located in that general area where that one is now. That's always been what the committee's talked about. That's what we brought to the Historic Commission. Historic Commission, like I said, they didn't say it wasn't. They thought it was perfect. It was needed. They were just saying, can we put it down by the library? And I said, I think that misses the mark of trying to get people to see it when they're approaching, to make that decision to keep going straight rather than turning and going left down 97
Right.
and out of town. So we can only go upwards. There's no signage right now for our downtown.
Right.
This will be, all these little pieces. We got to get it right. So the conversation, the right conversation to have. But the good news is we got a great design, whether it's the more, bold version or the script version. I don't know, Jan, if I said that right. But either way, at the end of the day, but the most important thing that we're trying to do with this is make sure it's clear and people can see it while they're driving by. That's why I think a lot of people in the committee, Tom, you were there. That's why I think the people sort of the weight was a little bit closer towards the bold one for the directional signs. So anyways, we'll
Kevin, just a quick question about Brian. I thought our contract with him was coming to an end. Is he still going to do additional design work to change or do variations of Welcome to Topsfield or Topsfield Ahead?
If I asked him to make, the thing with design is you can design it to death and keep spending money to make small tweaks and then sometimes end up back where you started. But with this, we've kind of gotten to that finish line. We're going to do the last unveiling and live unveiling to the group with that three-dimensional version. Hopefully pick one for the final report of the two versions, or maybe we leave it in the way we have it with an alternate and a primary if we really can't get there. But at that point, he's going to put the whole report together with the package and deliver it to us. And then if we make alterations with, say, that monument sign, Lynn, adding the word welcome, I mean, nothing stops us from doing that if we decide after the fact.
Yep. All right, thanks. I don't mean to push things along, but I know we've got the Pump Park meeting at 7:30, so.
So then I will just say website design, and our own Marshall Hook is on the call. He's been instrumental in a working group, a committee, in helping us with the redesign of our website. I mentioned Brian and purposely mentioned the website second. Our last meeting recently, last week, we talked about now that when we first started our website conversation, there was no real brand. There was no efforts from a design standpoint. Great end result of the website. Everyone's very happy with it, but we have done a lot of work with branding. And one of the things we talked about was, is there anything that we should consider of our efforts on the signage? Should we consider, or can we bake that into the design on the website so there's some cohesiveness at some level? And so Brian's tomorrow, part of the reason we're meeting is I asked Brian to look at our website, to take a look at it and see if there's a way that he thinks we can do it, if we should do it, if it should be a standalone. So we're sort of just having another set of professional eyes on the website design component of it, who's actually helped us with the sign design. So it's obviously purposeful to see if we need to do anything there. After we get to that point, we've got some more modifications on the website we need to make. And then from just the technical, like drop-down menus, things of that nature. And then the hope will be to launch that website before the end of the year, definitely, but hopefully the next month or so, if we can get there. So that's the update on the website. Marshall, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
No, you did a wonderful job.
Thank you, sir.
And that'll conclude my contribution to this call.
Fantastic.
Save up for the next meeting, Marshall.
Yeah. So the other thing is the downtown business recruitment outreach transitions. So over the last couple of months, there's been, first I'll start, I think a lot of you might have heard Lux, and their lease is not going to be continued. I've been working with her behind the scenes for some time now to try to find a location in town, in the downtown. Her needs are specific, and there are some limitations downtown. she is, it's not really public yet, so I don't know if I should say this, but she is looking at an alternative location, not in the downtown potentially, to split in Topsfield that would satisfy a lot of the needs that she has for her business purposes. We're working in a small timeline that she has to try to help her as quickly as we can, to see if it's possible, if it'll work. But the moral of this is that she won't be in that space for much longer, but she is committed to Topsfield and keeping her business here, which is really great, because I know she looked at Danvers and some other communities and really wanted to stay at her home here in Topsfield. We also have a new business that is opening very shortly in the shopping center. Tom had a chance to meet Maureen. The Imperfect Perfect. I'm missing the last part of the name of her shop, but that's all you need to know. It's the old karate studio. She has 67 artisans, local artisans, who have created different pieces of artwork and gifts that are set up in her store. And I was actually in there today getting a tour of the space. She has a really nice setup. I think it complements a lot of what we already do. It's rare to have, retail. That was when I was in Beverly. That was one of the most challenging things that we had, was bringing retail. It usually comes last. We actually have that, which is a really nice thing to build off of. Bring some more coffee shops and restaurants, and I think we'll be prime time. But we're working on that as well. But that's a new business that's coming in. Feel free to go by and say hello to her. Hopefully opening up in the next week or so. But she's got some really interesting ideas about doing some things like sidewalk sales and events and things like that. Her energy and her entrepreneurial spirit will complement as well a lot of what we have here in the downtown, which is exciting. So,
and do you happen to know, is there a time frame or firm client coming in behind Lux?
I don't have any information right now on that. I do know in prior conversations that the owner, I believe they're on a month-to-month, and that the owner certainly had some concepts, I think, for that space, but that's about all I could say. I don't really have much more to offer right now.
Okay.
And then I'll just wrap with just the number of great events that we've had recently. We had the August 21st Music Fest, the Music Fest that took place, which was really great. It was hot. It was on a Saturday in the summer, but we still had a decent, okay amount of people come out to it. Great bands. A lot of people said they had a good time. We're going to try to see if we want to do it next year. If we do, some modifications. That was run by the Cultural Council here in town, the event. And it was a big effort to pull it all together, but I think it was done really well. And the book sale that took place brought a lot of people down to the event as well, which was great. So that was good. And then we had a fantastic event at the Tomato Festival that our own Lynn Bermudez created, and with support from many people on this call and people outside this call, made it all come together. And I think we counted, Janet, you said what, 700 people? Is that what I heard?
Almost 800.
Wow, for a first-time event? Wow.
Yeah. And just to say, Kim Philpott was the person who had the idea for the Tomato Festival. And then Martha Morrison, Kendra Clinoff, and I and Kim kind of all worked together with a lot of people, including Sarah and her TCP team, who did the website for us and did our social media and did the fundraising. So, but it was great. The farmers market did much better than they had envisioned. Student council made, several $100. The explorers who sold the hot dogs made over $400. Everyone seemed to have a lot of fun. So it was really good. The Agricultural Commission will pick up responsibility with the rec director for doing this next year. And there are already some ideas in talking with them. There's a group, New Entry, that actually helps people get involved in farming, and they help you find a plot and get you started. So in keeping with that agricultural theme for next year, it will become an annual event, which is great. So yeah, thank you to everybody who helped.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It was fantastic. And just to set expectations, the rec director is going to support it. She's going to have to build, relationships and such. Reason it all came together is because the close connections I think that Lynn and others had with people to pull them in and volunteer and set up, their tables, etc. So I think it'll be a transition period, just like the Holiday on the Green, which is a great segue because I want to talk about that real quickly. We are having an HOG this year. There was a period of time last year and again this year where we weren't sure, but Tom's on the committee. Tom, you're on a bunch of committees lately, and it's fantastic. But Tom's on the.
No, I don't mind. I'll put my hand down, I guess. But it's okay.
Tom's doing some really interesting ideas, and it's almost a completely new group of people at the table, and that's exciting because we need people like that to keep the traditions going and coming up with fresh new ideas to keep it interesting. And so, things like just basic fundraising for something like that. I know historically it's been something that it's been a little hesitant to try to ask people for money for it outside the giving tree. But to be sustainable and to do it right, there really needs to be a funding mechanism that goes along with it as well. But also, I don't want to give away any secrets. There's some state secrets right now, some ideas, even from our own Tom, who's come up with some creative ways to kind of engage in the event. But that's happening. Thank you to all the volunteers who are helping support that effort. But it's a nice tradition that will live on and continue to keep happening. So obviously with the fair coming up too, that's big. And I should mention, I got the green light from Martha Morrison and the Garden Club that they will again support the straw bales out in the downtown with some pumpkins and such like that. And so literally got the confirmation like an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago, right before our meeting that was going to happen. So our guys will go down, pick them up at the co-op, the hay bales, and then we'll leave them out and let them be decorated. We don't necessarily have a budget to do this, but it was such a big win last year. We'll find a way to cover it. I'm going to have to probably take my lumps with the town accountant, but that's okay. It's worth it. It's a very worthwhile visual.
It's really just hay bales, Kevin, because I'm involved in that too with Martha, but a lot of the greens we've gone and picked and she had the baskets. So it's really like the hay bales and then I'm off my time and Gretchen to help set these all up. So it really be awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate the support. It's awesome. And Tom, you did it last year, doing it again this year. We appreciate that. So thank you. But that's going to happen. Then we're talking about also the decorating of our new poles. So we now have a new element that we get to decorate this holiday season. So when those flowers need to come up, something has to go back in, hopefully. And I know Sarah's been working with Martha Morrison on that as well about what that might look like. So
if we want to pause for just a minute, Kevin, because we only have 10 minutes left. Sarah, could you speak to that? Because I know your group approved it and Dawn is going to order it tomorrow.
Yes, we're having Noonan's put together. They'll do baskets with greenery. I believe it was, where's my? There would be red bows and greenery and that kind of thing. And then in January, we'll take the bows down, but leave the greenery and the other stuff up. That should carry us through next spring when we're ready to put flowers in again.
So I think they have to come down at the beginning of February because they need the baskets back to plant the flowers for the spring. So they'll be going up Thanksgiving weekend and we'll stay up through the beginning of February, and then the baskets go back to Noonan for them to start to plant.
Yeah, it'll be balsam, white pine, juniper, and red ribbon.
Awesome.
Look really pretty. So thank you, Sarah, and your team for giving us the money to do that.
Honestly, thank the town because people really love it and they're happy to contribute. And so, whenever we've been putting the word out, like even the smallest donations really help us get this program moving forward. And we're going to have to do it every year. But people just really overwhelmingly loved the difference that it made to the feel of our downtown. So that's.
And I saw your Facebook post for the significant contribution Evans Industries made to them,
yes,
which was great.
Yes, they did last year too. So this is actually their second significant contribution. So.
That's great. Thank you. All right, anything else, Kevin? We'll just, if we can wrap up with a quick discussion on the trash, just, so nothing else,
We're good. Thank you
that's
all.
everything?
Appreciate
Okay.
your support. It's really, it means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. So we had started to discuss 2 meetings ago, or 2 months ago, the issue of trash. And I know Sarah had raised that. She was not at the last meeting, but we really didn't reach any closure about that. And so just wanted to bring it back up again. Kevin, if you've had a chance to talk to your team about the possibility of putting out a trash can that doesn't allow trash from home, a smaller slot. So it's more for individual pieces to go beside T-Hop or where that might stand.
So I'll just be completely blunt about it. I'm still a believer that it's not necessarily needed. I know that the businesses that have material that you would typically need to throw away, quick disposal of, T-Hop, they have a trash can within their facility. We have an exterior trash can and the parklet in front of Alex's. And I know that, from a beautification standpoint, I personally think it makes a big difference when you don't have that trash can that's sticking, whether it's has a top on it or no top on it. Trash in there, it smells, attracts bees. It usually gets pretty dirty pretty quickly.
Did you say there's one outside of Alex's or inside?
There is. It's in the parklet. So it's kind of tucked away purposely, I think, so that someone walking by doesn't necessarily throw it in, but it's there so that somebody who sits down can then throw their goods away that they just purchased from there.
So is that smelly? Does that attract bees? How is that going?
It's small and compact, so they change it out on probably a daily basis. So it's not sitting out there without, open for 3 or 4 days before someone takes it away with rot.
Okay. Could I just ask, Sarah, you had raised this, and so could you just give your thoughts?
Yeah, personally, the way that I feel is I feel like there's a lot of, this issue comes up a lot on social media. And I feel like there's a lot of finger pointing instead of people taking or asking their children to take personal responsibility, which we're all quite capable of doing. When we go hiking, we leave no trace, we do that kind of thing. But I feel like, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, there aren't enough trash cans, that they took the trash cans away, that kind of thing. If we can kind of meet people halfway and show an effort to put some additional ones back and then say, we're doing this, but we expect you to show your personal responsibility and do your part and throw your things away. If the trash can is full, take it with you, take it in the store and throw it away. And, but I kind of feel like it's, we should make on the town side a little bit of an effort too.
Anybody else have some thoughts about this?
I totally disagree. I'm sorry, Sarah, but I do disagree.
That's okay.
I just think people just have to take that responsibility from the get-go. As you just said, we hike, we go everywhere. Even the rail trail says, take your trash away. They don't have barrels at every end of the rail trail. I don't see a huge problem with trash other than maybe concentrated around, the Proctor School basketball court or something, but I don't even see that. And I walk around there all the time. I just think the schools, there's recycling committee in the schools. Zilly, you were, big environmental programs through the school. They should just emphasize that on a daily basis. You carry in, carry out, put it in your backpacks, and it'll hit home eventually. Everybody will get the message, but you meet them halfway, they're going to take a mile. And before you know it, there's going to be, pizza boxes and everything else all over the place. And, when Main Street did those trash barrels, overflowing. And then it's the responsibility of the DPW to empty those. And, Steve Shepard, he was pulling his hair out trying to keep up with all that stuff. And I'm
not suggesting like doing a lot of them, but where the hottest spots are, I would, that's just my personal feeling. Like I totally agree with you. I don't understand people that make excuses for their children throwing their trash, coming out of country farms and dropping their trash in that bed. I don't get it. Like, I personally am not raising my kids that way, but I don't know. I can't raise everyone's kids. So.
Well, you have to individually.
Well,
Yeah,
why
I would
couldn't you?
wanna recycle.
You could. We wouldn't have this problem, Sarah. Can you just raise everyone's kids?
There
And
you
we
go.
all set. I would
No,
just
but even adults, like I don't even see trash blowing around on the street, and I have a
No,
store.
neither.
It's not just kids, I think adults, but I don't even see it blowing around. So do we have
Yeah.
a trash problem?
I think it's on the back end, to what Sarah's point. I think it's not where there's stores that have their own place for their own customers to put their trash. I think it's when someone's had something to go and they go and meet someone. It's at the parks,
Yeah, I was
that's
gonna say, it's gotta be an
we don't have
area.
where to
It's
put
gotta
it.
be in one area because I don't see it on Main Street. I don't see,
And
even the
my
windiest day, I
experience-
never see trash blowing around, never.
my experience during when I used to do recess duty was you always knew when there were baseball games because we'd show up to recess and these poor little fourth graders would ask us if it's okay for them to pick up all the litter they were finding all over the ground. And it was embarrassing. Like, I felt embarrassed that our kids were coming to school and having their playground covered in litter because people had come over the weekend and hung out and had nowhere to put their litter. So they left. I mean, unfortunately, they let their kids. It was often little things like wrappers from, bubble gum and things like that. But there were actually like a lot of like Dunkin's iced cups and things like that. So we often did just pick it up during recess. And I'm not sure if the answer is a lot of barrels. I feel like at a place like where there's a park where there could be a game, having one is not a bad idea. I also think, though, I keep thinking, I've had this idea for so long, we have our town cleanup once a year. I always think, why can't we like partner up with our playground committee and the student clubs like you've talked about, or stream teams or anybody? And I want to have like a beauty brigade, a group that gets together, that's multi-generational, that has a regular weekly time where they get together and pick up litter.
Oh, I don't think that's
Have a
right.
little
Every
treat.
picking up, but I don't think that's like every week to pick up other people's trash.
Yeah.
I don't
Well, maybe
think
not every
that's
week.
the right
But
way
I've seen
to go
kids
about it.
organize themselves to do it. I always think like that. I don't know. I feel like it could be fun.
I know, but
For what it's worth, I can add just a little bit of a snippet. So when I was in Beverly, before I was in Beverly, I worked downtown at Downtown Crossing. And I remember specifically seeing these men and women wearing khakis and a polo shirt. And sometimes they had a trash can that they're pushing, or sometimes they had a bag, sometimes a stick, grabber, claw. And I remember thinking to myself, it's really interesting. And when I started working in Beverly, we created for a senior work-off opportunity. At first, I was like the optics on this, but we created a senior work-off opportunity for seniors to get money off their taxes. And if they wanted to do what we called a beautification program. And every Saturday morning, 8:00, they'd meet at Lynch Park in Beverly, and they'd walk down 127 to Dane Street Beach, to Independence Beach, and then up to the downtown and walk down Cabot Street to the library, go through the Common, and then back down to Lynch Park. And they'd have time cards, they'd check in, check out. It was very unique because the people who did it really loved the exercise, and more importantly, loved the people they were doing it with. It was really a camaraderie builder. And they loved the fact that a lot of people would say, thank you for doing this, thank you for doing this. It didn't stop people from putting trash out, but it was sort of a visible effort, maybe a little bit to what Sarah was saying about, effort being made to try to combat it. We're nowhere near that size that Beverly was. And we had, I think, 6 or 8 volunteers annually that would do it. And they'd all go out together and they do it. And they had a lot of fun, like I said. But and I live in that area, and they drop the bags in my front yard sometimes. But they would, it was an interesting option. And I just say that, I said at the top, there was some optics concerns when we did it. We'd have our seniors basically picking up other people's, to Tom, your point, their trash. But it really depended on the people you brought in to do it. And they were really more than willing and excited to do it every year. And a couple champions, I'd say, who just got really excited every year and got everybody else excited. Something to consider too, if it's somewhere meeting in between before putting the trash out, because I do feel strongly if you start with one, I've seen it in a number of parks. All of a sudden you're at 4, you're at 6, you're at 8. It grows pretty quickly. But we did put the trash cans back out for way of update for you, Lynn asked at the top for an update. We did put them back out at the different playing fields, and we do have them at Proctor as well. It hasn't stopped people from littering. There's a trash can here. There's debris here. It's like, just put it in. It's not necessarily the trash can that changes the behavior. To Sarah's point, sometimes it's just the way the kids are brought up or the attitude they might have on a given day. But, if there's an optics or, there's two things I think at play. One, the optics that the town's not maybe doing anything. And two, the need for it. And I'm hearing from the downtown, maybe it's not as much a need, but there's the optics component of it. So maybe we can think strategically about how we can combat that. Or maybe we give those people who have issues with it an opportunity to start a beautification program in town.
Any input, Rosalie or Alex, you want to add, just so that we've got everybody's input?
I'm glad to hear they're back at the ball fields. It's mostly where you see it. I am kind of on the side of I don't like the trash cans look around town. It's gross. And it doesn't matter. And the kids or adults or whoever's doing it, they just pile up the trash if it's not changed overnight and that's a lot to put on whoever's changing it, that they get changed over every day. So I hate the look of a trash can, but the library has had theirs the entire time. But it's one of those ones with the lids that you can't really get too much into, and they keep it clean and they change it every day. So just maybe identifying where they are. I didn't know that Alex has had one in the little parking cove that I didn't know it was there. We also bring all of our trash home because I teach my kids to not be like that. But just knowing where they are in town might help a little bit. Like every time that comes up on social media, if we're like, nope, here are the 6 trash cans and this is where their location is. And maybe then we can help that people let their smaller people in their household know where they are so that we don't end up all over social media with photographs of trash on benches.
There's also one at the library, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
That exists too. So there's some strategically placed that if people need a trash can, they can find it. It's not ideal necessarily for someone who needs a trash can in the moment, but they're there, like you said.
And just to be clear, I 100% agree. I think I've mentioned this to you guys before, like in front of Alex's or Top Hopper, Leela's or Gil's, like those places don't need one in front of their store because they manage what their customers might produce and they don't need other people bringing stuff in front of their storefront and dumping it there. It's more there's just a couple spots where it gets a little tricky. And it's about to get loud in my house, so I'm going to mute.
Okay. Alex, any thought you want to add, or did everyone say everything?
Yeah, I just think, the status quo. I'm kind of with Kevin here. I feel like I'm fine with how it is now.
Okay. Great. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your input, and thank you, Sarah, for bringing it up. You weren't here at the last meeting to hear the discussion, so it was good to address that again. Okay, I think with the Pump Park meeting starting up, do we have anything else that anybody would like to raise at this point? Or any questions for Kevin?
I do have one question. It seems like the past couple Saturdays, and I'm not against motorcycles, I'm just looking at this, that there's been a motorcycle brigade led by police, but the speed at which they're going down Main Street is at least 40 miles an hour. And is it a traditional thing that's done? I don't understand. I've seen it like twice now.
There are a lot of rides that happen through the fall that happen to be fundraising rides, and
but why don't they go at the speed limit though?
Oh, I can't help you with that. I'm just telling you that this is a very traditional time for these bikers to do these rides.
It's at least 40 miles an hour. It's way above 30 miles an hour.
Because they come down 97 by where I am too. So I can't help you with that. But they typically are coming for fundraising rides this time of year.
I know.
Maybe something we can let Neil be aware of.
It's beyond the speed limit, way beyond.
That should be reinforced too, because as you said, these are fundraisers. We can reach out to the people who are coordinating the fundraisers to
remind them. The speed limit. If someone could get killed, I'm not kidding. It's been 3 times, and it's at least 40 miles an hour.
If they're coming through downtown, I bet you they are missing that speed limit change sign, because they're coming, most of the time it's down 97 and that's a 40 mile an hour. And they're most likely missing that there's a change there. And then whoever is in the lead is leading the speed of it.
Someone get hurt because honestly, it might even be 45 miles an hour. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Tom, I'll talk with Chief
Just
Hubby.
concerned. I'm really
I'll
concerned someone's going to get hurt.
I'll talk with Chief Hubby and I'll see if I'll flag it for him and see if
All right.
there's if we can make sure that we, especially in the downtown where people should drive a little.
I mean, it's excessively fast. I'm not exaggerating. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, make a note.
Well, and I think as Tom mentioned, it's also led by a police motorcycle. So
I know, and I don't understand that.
Neil should be able to be in touch with them just to remind them what our downtown speed is. So, anything
most
else?
downtowns densely populated like that, are 25 miles per hour. So it shouldn't be a surprise.
Anything else? Any other points? Thank you for raising that, Tom. That's a good point.
No, I'm just concerned. I love motorcycles, but it's unbelievable. So, but thank you.
Sure. Okay. If nothing else, then could we have a motion to adjourn? Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
I think I saw Janet.
I know. I move we adjourn.
Okay. Second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Tom, second. Okay. I'm sure there's no discussion. We'll go to roll call. Zilly?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Rosalie?
Yes.
Janet?
Aye.
Sarah?
Yes.
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes.
Alex?
Yeah.
Got me to do it.
What were you, Alex? Were you a yes or an aye?
I'll do aye.
Okay, and Lynn is aye, so it passes unanimously. Thank you so much, everyone. And for those of you who are joining the pump party,